What if the very foods you have been conditioned to believe are the unassailable cornerstones of a healthy, vibrant life were in fact silently and methodically dismantling the very essence of your manhood? If you are a man navigating the complexities of life beyond the age of 60, you have undoubtedly been advised, cajoled, urged, and perhaps even persistently nagged to load your plate with a colorful abundance of vegetables. It is the universal, one-size-fits-all prescription handed down from doctors, nutritionists, and public health campaigns for a longer, more robust existence. But what if I were to propose a truth so counterintuitive it borders on heresy in the modern world of wellness? What if I told you that lurking within the crisper drawer of your refrigerator, cleverly disguised as a brilliant beacon of health and longevity, is a vegetable that could be the direct and primary cause of your perpetually dwindling energy, your frustratingly frequent and disruptive trips to the bathroom throughout the night, and the slow, agonizing fade of the fire in your most intimate relationships? The uncomfortable but liberating truth is that your masculinity, your vigor, and your vitality may not be fading because of the inexorable march of time or the number printed on your birth certificate, but because you have been diligently and obediently eating what our entire society has benevolently but incorrectly labeled as healthy, falling headfirst into a sophisticated trap set with the very best of intentions. My name is Dr. Mariah, and for well over 3 decades as a practicing urologist and a dedicated men's health specialist, I have committed my professional life to guiding men in their 60s, 70s, and even their 80s back from the precipice of hormonal decline and physical despair. I have witnessed firsthand, time and time again, the profound and inspiring transformation as they reclaim their youthful vigor, their mental sharpness, and their sexual vitality, not with a hastily written prescription for a pill, but by making specific, crucial, and often surprising changes to what they put on their dinner plate each night. The conventional wisdom you have been fed is dangerously and tragically incomplete. Certain vegetables, celebrated by well-meaning but misguided experts as being heart-healthy or superfoods, are in reality loaded with hidden, insidious compounds that can cause your estrogen levels to skyrocket, create a state of chronic inflammation that stiffens your arteries like old pipes, and directly fuel the inflammatory processes within your prostate gland. The devastating irony, the cruel twist in this nutritional narrative is that the very meals you are consuming with the noble intention of helping yourself could be the primary agents hurting you the most. Prepare yourself to discover a truth that may initially feel unsettling, because I can assure you, after reading this, you will never look at your vegetable crisper or the modern grocery store aisle in the same way ever again. Let's begin our journey by examining a story that may hit uncomfortably close to home for many of you. I once had a patient named James, a remarkably sharp-witted 68-year-old retired school principal who was still deeply and passionately in love with his wife of over 40 years, but felt like a pale, hollowed-out shadow of his former self. He sat across from me in my office, a living portrait of quiet, dignified desperation. "Doctor," he confessed, his voice barely above a whisper, "on paper, I'm doing great. My cardiologist is happy, but I just don't feel like me anymore. The energy, that get up and go I used to have, it's just gone. It got up and went. And in the bedroom, well, doctor, let's just say the fire has all but burned out completely." A comprehensive review of his medical charts and recent blood work showed he was, by all conventional standards, mostly normal. He had a strong, healthy heart, only slightly elevated cholesterol, but one glaring, pivotal detail stood out like a warning flare in the night. His testosterone levels were scraping the absolute bottom of the normal range for his age, while conversely, his estrogen levels were abnormally and alarmingly high for a man his age. The moment I began to inquire about his diet, his posture straightened, and he answered with a palpable sense of pride. Following his cardiologist's stringent advice from years ago, he had diligently and completely swapped out red meat and full-fat dairy for what he wholeheartedly believed were the superior, heart-healthy alternatives. Tofu scrambles instead of eggs for breakfast, soy milk poured into his coffee and over his cereal, and a bowl of salted edamame as his go-to evening snack while watching television. In that instant, the final crucial puzzle piece clicked resoundingly into place. The first vegetable you must fundamentally reconsider, and in many cases, completely eliminate from your diet, is soy. For all of its health-conscious, planet-friendly marketing, soy is one of the world's most concentrated and potent sources of phytoestrogens. These are naturally occurring plant-based compounds that, once they enter a male body, cleverly and effectively mimic the actions and effects of the primary female hormone, estrogen, for a man navigating the hormonal shifts of his later years. This is not a trivial issue. It is a critical, game-changing problem. Your body's own natural production of testosterone is already on a gradual, predictable decline. When you intentionally introduce foods that behave like estrogen, you are not merely adding a benign foreign substance. You are actively and forcefully tilting your delicate, finely tuned hormonal scales in the entirely wrong direction. The real-world consequences of this hormonal imbalance are devastatingly predictable. A severely diminished libido, a noticeable softening of your physique with increased fat storage around the midsection and chest, a pervasive and bone-deep sense of fatigue that no amount of sleep can fix. And for countless men, just like James, erections that become unreliable, weak, disappointingly soft, or disappear altogether. The problem isn't just the obvious soy products like tofu and soy milk. The true danger lies in how insidiously it creeps into your daily diet, hidden in countless processed foods, protein bars, salad dressings, sauces, breads, and meat substitutes. The modern food industry adores soy because it is incredibly cheap to produce and wears a shimmering halo of health. Your male hormones, however, are not fooled by the marketing. They know the truth. Though he was understandably skeptical at first, James was desperate enough to try a simple, straightforward plan. We completely removed all forms of soy from his diet and replaced them with clean, whole food sources of protein like grass-fed beef, pasture-raised eggs, and wild-caught fish. Within a few short weeks, he called my office to report a remarkable and undeniable return of his morning energy and mental clarity. A month after that, a beautiful, handwritten thank you card arrived in the mail from his wife. It contained just one powerful, heartfelt sentence. "Doctor, you gave me my husband back. While soy is not an outright poison, for men over 60 experiencing any degree of fatigue, mental fog, or performance issues, it is a supposed health food that is best left on the grocery store shelf." Our next culprit is perhaps even more deceptive and pervasive because it serves as a foundational cornerstone of diets across the entire globe, woven into the very fabric of our modern food system. Yet in its most common, highly processed and industrialized forms, it can transform into a primary and relentless driver of chronic systemic inflammation, a destructive condition that silently hardens your arteries and systematically chokes off vital blood flow to the very places you need it most, especially when it comes to masculine function. To be perfectly and unequivocally clear, I am not talking about the sweet, fresh, vibrant corn on the cob that you might enjoy at a summer barbecue dripping with butter. I am talking about the industrial behemoth that corn has become, the ubiquitous source of high fructose corn syrup, cornstarch, corn oil, maltodextrin, and a truly dizzying array of chemical additives and fillers that permeate nearly every corner of our modern food supply. Let's consider the case of Robert, a 62-year-old retired mechanic who came to me not just with the presenting complaint of erectile dysfunction, but also with persistent, nagging joint pain in his hands and knees and a bone-deep weariness that he simply could not shake no matter how much he rested. Robert was a man who was genuinely trying to do everything right by the book. Convinced he was making a profoundly heart-healthy choice, he had long ago replaced natural butter with margarine made from vegetable oil, which is most often heavily based on corn oil. He had swapped out sugary sodas for healthier diet drinks, many of which contained corn-derived sweeteners. He was frustrated, disillusioned, and deeply confused, as all of his dedicated efforts to become healthier only seemed to be making him feel progressively worse. Robert's core problem was chronic, low-grade inflammation, an invisible but immensely powerful enemy wreaking havoc inside his body. Highly processed corn and the oils derived from it are incredibly high in omega-6 fatty acids. While our bodies do require a certain amount of omega-6 to function, it must exist in a very delicate and precise balance with anti-inflammatory omega-3 fatty acids, which are found in abundance in foods like fatty fish, walnuts, and flaxseed. The modern Western diet has utterly obliterated this crucial balance, with many of us now consuming up to 20 times more inflammatory omega-6 fatty acids than our bodies are designed to handle. When this critical ratio is so drastically and chronically skewed, your body enters a state of perpetual low-grade inflammation. Imagine a tiny smoldering fire that never ever goes out, burning continuously inside your arteries, your joints, and your organs. This relentless internal fire causes significant damage to the endothelium, the fragile single-cell thick lining of all your blood vessels. And what is the endothelium's most important job for a man? It is to produce a miraculous molecule called nitric oxide, the master chemical responsible for relaxing and dilating your blood vessels to allow for robust blood flow. When the endothelium is chronically inflamed and damaged, nitric oxide production plummets. The inevitable result is that your arteries become stiff, narrow, and lose their youthful, supple elasticity. This translates directly to drastically reduced blood flow, not just to the penis, causing erectile dysfunction, but to every single part of your body, including your brain, heart, and muscles. This exact same inflammatory process is directly linked to the joint pain, brain fog, profound fatigue, and even prostate enlargement that so many men like Robert experience. His supposedly heart-healthy diet was, in cruel fact, pouring gasoline on the inflammatory fire that was progressively hardening his arteries and robbing him of his vitality. The solution, once the problem was identified, was elegantly straightforward. We meticulously eliminated all processed seed oils like corn, soy, and canola oil from his diet and dramatically increased his intake of omega-3s with wild-caught salmon several times a week and a high-quality, purified fish oil supplement. Within a single month, the transformation was nothing short of remarkable. His persistent joint pain began to fade away, his morning energy returned with a vengeance, and for the first time in many years, he began experiencing consistent morning erections, a clear, unambiguous biological sign that his vascular health was profoundly improving from the inside out. I urge you to become a detective and start reading the labels on everything you buy. If you see corn oil, high fructose corn syrup, cornstarch, or maize oil on the ingredient list, understand that you could be directly contributing to the very inflammation that is suffocating your vitality and aging you from within. Now we arrive at the vegetable that often elicits the most profound surprise, and frequently a healthy dose of disbelief from my patients when I bring it up. It is the undisputed darling of the modern health. Community, a revered staple in so-called superfood salads and detox smoothies, and a symbol of all that is green and good. Yet this celebrated leafy green harbors a dark and significant secret, particularly for men over the age of 60 who are consuming it in large quantities. I am talking, of course, about spinach, specifically large, concentrated quantities of raw spinach. This pronouncement may sound like nutritional heresy, a direct contradiction to everything you have been taught, but allow me to explain the complex science behind this warning through the illuminating story of William, a dedicated 67-year-old amateur marathon runner who was doing everything humanly possible to stay at the top of his competitive age group. He started every single day, without fail, with a massive green smoothie, packed to the brim with several large handfuls of raw spinach, believing he was flooding his system with life-giving, performance-enhancing nutrients. His blood work, however, told a starkly different and perplexing story. His total testosterone was low, but most puzzlingly, His zinc levels were critically dangerously low, despite the fact that he was eating a diet theoretically rich in zinc, containing foods like nuts, seeds, and lean meats. He also complained of a libido that had all but vanished into thin air, a stark contrast to his otherwise athletic and disciplined lifestyle. William's problem was not what he was eating, but rather how his body was, or more accurately, was not, able to use the nutrients from his food. The hidden enemy in this scenario is a naturally occurring compound called oxalate or oxalic acid. Raw spinach, along with other foods like rhubarb and Swiss chard, is one of the highest oxalate-containing foods on the entire planet. Inside your digestive tract, these oxalate molecules act like microscopic pirates, aggressively binding to essential minerals like zinc, calcium, and magnesium before your body has a chance to absorb them, and then unceremoniously escorting them right out of your system as waste. One of the minerals that oxalates are particularly fond of stealing is zinc. And for a man's body, especially an aging man's body, zinc is as precious as gold. It is an absolutely essential and non-negotiable building block for the production of testosterone and a critical cornerstone of prostate health. So, with every single sip of his incredibly healthy and well-intentioned green smoothie, William was inadvertently and systematically stripping his body of the very mineral it needed most to maintain his hormonal balance and his manhood. Am I therefore telling you to stop eating spinach altogether? Absolutely not. Spinach, when prepared correctly, is a fantastic source of magnesium, vitamin K, and other vital nutrients. The crucial key here is not what you are eating, but how you are preparing it. The simple, transformative act of cooking spinach, even for just a few minutes, by steaming or sautéing, dramatically breaks down and reduces the oxalate content, liberating those precious essential minerals and making them bioavailable for your body to absorb and utilize. By making the simple swap from his daily raw spinach smoothie to a delicious morning omelette filled with gently sautéed spinach and mushrooms, William saw his zinc and testosterone levels begin their steady climb back into the optimal range within a matter of weeks. He was, for the first time, finally getting the full nutritional benefit of the healthy food he was eating, rather than having it stolen from him by these hidden anti-nutrients. Now that you are armed with the knowledge of the potential saboteurs hiding in plain sight on your plate, let's pivot from a posture of defense to one of empowered offense. It is time to shift our focus to the immense power of rebuilding, of actively and intentionally restoring your circulation, recalibrating your hormonal balance, and rebuilding your fundamental strength from the inside out. I firmly believe, based on decades of clinical practice and a deep dive into nutritional science, that there are 3 vegetable heroes that are virtually non-negotiable for any man over 60 who is serious about reclaiming the vitality and vigor of his prime. They are not exotic, they are not expensive, and they are not hard to find. In fact, they are so common and unassuming that they are often overlooked by most men, and that, gentlemen, is a profound and costly mistake. The first of these heroes, and the undisputed king of circulatory health, is the humble, earthy, and powerfully vibrant beet. If poor, sluggish circulation is the enemy of your vitality, and it most certainly is, then beets are your one-man army in the fight to restore it. They are one of the most potent and reliable natural sources of dietary nitrates on Earth. When you consume beets, your body, in its infinite wisdom, masterfully converts these nitrates into the miracle molecule we have already discussed, nitric oxide. As we have established, nitric oxide is the essential chemical messenger that relaxes, soothes, and widens your blood vessels, allowing blood to surge powerfully, freely, and unimpeded through your entire body. I want you to imagine it as transforming a kinked, narrow, low-pressure garden hose into a high-pressure, wide-bore firefighter's hose capable of delivering a torrent of life, giving oxygen and nutrients to every cell. Rigorous scientific studies, like those published in prestigious journals such as the Journal of Nutrition, have consistently shown that consuming beets or beet juice can significantly lower blood pressure, improve endothelial function, the health of that critical arterial lining, and enhance physical stamina. But here is the critical, often overlooked detail that most people miss, which renders their efforts useless. How you consume your beets matters immensely. The circulatory magic of beets is almost completely lost when they are purchased pickled or canned. The extremely high heat of the industrial canning process and the prolonged storage time destroys a huge percentage of those beneficial heat-sensitive nitrates. Even worse, the pickling process adds a veritable deluge of sodium and acidic vinegar, which can actually work to constrict your arteries, thereby negating the very benefit you are seeking in the first place. To truly unlock their immense power, you must consume fresh beets, whether they are gently steamed until tender, lightly roasted in olive oil to bring out their sweetness, or even grated raw into a salad for a vibrant, crunchy addition. This is food as medicine in its most direct and powerful form. Our second nutritional hero is a powerful champion of hormonal balance and prostate protection, but it comes with a crucial and non-negotiable instruction manual. I am talking about broccoli, the true, nuanced secret to sustained male vitality as you age is not just about raising your testosterone levels. It is about maintaining the delicate and critical balance between your testosterone and your estrogen. Broccoli, along with its cruciferous cousins like cauliflower, kale, and Brussels sprouts, is one of the most powerful tools a man over 60 possesses for effectively detoxifying excess estrogen from his system and protecting the long-term health of his prostate, but only if it is prepared and consumed correctly. Broccoli contains a revolutionary and highly studied compound called sulforaphane. This remarkable substance has been shown to help the liver detoxify harmful chemicals and environmental toxins, reduce systemic inflammation throughout the body, and, most importantly for aging men, it actively aids in the healthy elimination of excess estrogen from the body. This process helps to maintain a healthier, more dominant, and more youthful testosterone to estrogen ratio, which is the true hallmark of male hormonal health. But here is the enormous and often tragic catch. The precursor to sulforaphane and the enzyme needed to create it are both incredibly sensitive to heat. When you overcook your broccoli, boiling it into a limp, lifeless, olive green submission, or worst of all, blasting it in the microwave until it is mushy, you effectively destroy the vast majority of this powerful therapeutic compound. You are left with a stalk that provides some fiber and a few vitamins, yes, but none of the potent hormone-balancing, cancer-fighting power that your aging body so desperately craves. Remember my patient Robert, the retired mechanic who was suffering from crippling inflammation. He had told me with a note of pride that he ate broccoli every single night with his dinner, but when I pressed him on how he prepared it, he replied, "Oh, it's easy. I just microwave a frozen bag for 5 minutes until it's really soft." He was, without a shred of knowledge, completely annihilating the very nutrient his body was screaming for. When we made the simple, elegant switch to either eating his broccoli raw with a healthy dip like hummus, or lightly steaming it for no more than 3 or 4 minutes so that it retained its bright green color and crisp, tender texture, he began to notice subtle but significant shifts. His ambient energy levels steadied throughout the day, his prostate-related nighttime urination began to decrease, and his thinking became clearer and more focused. For men over 60, it is these small, seemingly insignificant, repeated daily habits that can either build you up and fortify your health or silently break you down. This brings us to our third and final forgotten hero of the vegetable aisle. And this one, gentlemen, I want you to think of as your testosterone's silent, ever-vigilant guardian. I am talking about mushrooms. Yes, simple, ordinary mushrooms, specifically the common and inexpensive white button or cremini mushrooms that you can find in any grocery store in the country. They are so much more than a simple pizza topping or a bland ingredient to be tossed into a salad. When understood correctly, they are a veritable natural pharmacy for a man's long-term hormonal health. Let's return for a moment to the story of William, the 67-year-old marathon runner. After we corrected his raw spinach habit and his zinc levels began to normalize, his energy improved, but he still felt that his competitive drive and his libido were not where they should be. He felt better, certainly, but he did not feel powerful. There was a final missing piece to his complex hormonal puzzle. That missing piece was a sneaky, insidious enzyme that becomes progressively more active in the male body as men age, called aromatase. You can think of aromatase as a testosterone thief lurking in the shadows of your own body. It is the specific enzyme your body uses to convert your precious, hardworking testosterone into the female hormone estrogen. As men get older, and especially if they carry even a little bit of extra body fat around the midsection, aromatase activity begins to ramp up significantly. This means that this treacherous enzyme is actively stealing testosterone from your system and converting it into estrogen before your body even has a chance to use it for its intended masculine purposes. Building muscle, maintaining bone density, fueling your ambition, and powering your libido. This finally explained why William, even with newly adequate zinc levels, still was not feeling his absolute best. A significant portion of his testosterone was being hijacked and converted into estrogen far too rapidly. Herein lies the simple, elegant beauty of the common mushroom. A wealth of scientific studies, including groundbreaking research from the renowned Beckman Research Institute at the City of Hope, has shown that specific phytochemicals present in simple white button mushrooms act as potent natural aromatase inhibitors. They do not work by boosting your testosterone production directly, which can be risky. Instead, they act like loyal and effective bodyguards. They stand at the ready and physically block the aromatase enzyme from being able to bind to your testosterone and convert it into estrogen. They protect what you already have. This simple action means that more of your body's testosterone remains as free, active, and bioavailable testosterone circulating in your bloodstream, where it can do its vital job of boosting your energy, supporting your muscle mass, sharpening your mental clarity, and invigorating your libido. The simple act of adding a generous portion of mushrooms, sautéed with garlic and olive oil, to his meals a few times a week was the final, critical piece of the puzzle that clicked into place for William. About a month after making this change, he called me, and there was a new, unmistakable resonance and confidence in his voice. "Doctor, this is it," he said with genuine excitement. "The drive is back. Not a frantic, jittery energy, but that calm, confident strength I remember from my 40s. I honestly haven't felt that in over a decade." With every delicious meal, he was now actively and strategically defending his hormones from their internal thief. So there you have it, gentlemen. We have pulled back the curtain and unmasked the common vegetables that you need to approach with a new level of awareness and caution. Soy for its potent and disruptive hormonal effects, highly processed corn for its relentless inflammatory load, and excessive amounts of raw spinach for its insidious mineral-thieving properties. And just as importantly, we have celebrated the 3 unsung heroes you should now consciously and enthusiastically welcome onto your plate. Fresh, vibrant beets to flood your entire system with circulation-boosting, life-giving nitric oxide. Properly prepared broccoli to help your body balance its hormones and protect your prostate. And common mushrooms to act as a loyal bodyguard, protecting your precious testosterone from being converted into estrogen. But as I promised at the beginning, there is one more crucial piece to this intricate puzzle, a final bonus tip that ties everything we have discussed together and powerfully amplifies all of your other efforts. We have discussed the critical importance of the mineral zinc for testosterone production, but there is a third, often completely overlooked trace mineral that can have a truly profound and rapid impact on your testosterone levels, and this is your final bonus tip. I am talking about boron. It is a humble trace mineral that rarely, if ever, gets the spotlight in mainstream health discussions. But a growing body of scientific research has shown that it is remarkably powerful for male hormonal health. Boron works its magic primarily by reducing a specific protein in your blood called SHBG, which stands for sex hormone binding globulin. The easiest way to think of SHBG is as a set of molecular handcuffs that your body uses to bind to your testosterone, rendering it inactive, unavailable, and essentially useless. By significantly lowering the amount of SHBG in your bloodstream, boron helps to dramatically increase your levels of free testosterone, the type of testosterone that is unbound and actually matters for your strength, your libido, your mood, and your energy. You do not need expensive or exotic supplements to get an effective dose of this mineral. Wonderful, readily available food sources include raisins, dates, prunes, and avocados. Simply including a small handful of raisins as a daily snack or adding a few dates or half an avocado to a smoothie is a simple, effective, and delicious strategy to help ensure that the testosterone your body is so carefully producing is actually available for use, not locked away in handcuffs. It is the invisible force multiplier that makes everything else we have discussed work that much better. The power to reclaim your strength, to rebuild your confidence, and to restore your vitality rests not in a pharmacy or a doctor's prescription pad, but right there on your dinner plate. It is about being smarter than the marketing, more discerning than the outdated conventional wisdom, and ultimately more in tune with your own body's true and fundamental needs.